All right, let's dive right into this explainer. You know that feeling when you read something and it just clicks? Like every single sentence flows perfectly into the next without you even having to try? Well, chances are that writer was using a very specific technique. And today, we're breaking down exactly what that technique is and how you can master it for your own writing. Look, we've all been there. You sit down to explain a big, complex concept, and suddenly your ideas are just flying in a million different directions. It creates this chaotic, frustrating jumble that's honestly as painful to write as it is to read. But today, we are going to arm you with a structural technique to solve that problem entirely. It's all about taking that messy web of thoughts in your head and laying them out on a perfectly clear, straight track for your reader. So here's our roadmap for today. It's super straightforward. First, the power of enumeration. Second, building the topic sentence. Third, choosing your listing signals. Fourth, directing reader attention. And fifth, perfecting your grammar.
Section 1. The power of enumeration. Let's get right into the foundational concept.
Okay, so enumeration. It is arguably the absolute most common method of paragraph development in the English language. It's the ultimate organizing solution because it clearly dictates how your supporting sentences are going to flow. You start big with the general class, and then you systematically break it down into its individual members or parts. It basically sets an expectation for the reader, and then boom, immediately delivers on it. To put that into perspective, picture a single general class acting as this massive umbrella at the top. Underneath that umbrella, your topic cleanly separates into distinct, digestible parts. It's kind of like a really sturdy tree trunk splitting off into main branches. When you write an enumeration paragraph, you are simply walking your reader down each of those branches, one by one.
Moving on to Section 2. Building the topic sentence.
So, how do you hook your reader right off the bat? Well, it requires dropping a specific superpower word right into your topic sentence. This word acts like a giant neon sign that tells the reader, hey, a beautifully organized list is coming your way. That way, they know exactly what to expect. We call these absolute game changers enumerators. We're talking about words like kinds, types, factors, or characteristics. They might seem super simple, but let me tell you, they do some heavy lifting. If your topic sentence says, there are 3 main characteristics of a good leader, well, that enumerator tells your reader exactly what's coming. It forces you to organize your paragraph clearly, and it makes your train of thought incredibly easy for your audience to follow along with.
All right, Section 3, choosing your listing signals.
Now, to actually guide your reader through this list, you're going to need listing signals. But here's the catch, you have to be a little careful because there are 2 main groups of signals and they demand completely different grammatical sentence structures. Group 1 signals, think words like first, second, or next, are always followed by a full sentence, like first, there are books. Group 2 signals, on the other hand, actually combine the listing signal with your enumerator to become the subject of the sentence itself, like the first kind is books. So the absolutely crucial point here is ensuring your grammar perfectly matches the group you choose.
You can actually hear these Group 1 signals doing their job perfectly in this library example. Notice the enumerator in the topic sentence, 3 basic kinds. Then, just listen to the listing signals, first, second, third. They establish this really satisfying, rhythmic, logical flow. The reader literally never gets lost because the writer is holding their hand and counting out the points for them. Section 4. Directing reader attention.
Now, this is where it gets really fun. Sometimes, one of your points is just the undisputed star of the show, right? You can actually use a triangle structure to manipulate your reader's focus. Descending order is like a triangle with its broad base at the top. You hit the reader with your biggest, most important point right out of the gate, and then list the lesser points. Ascending order flips the whole thing. You start small and gradually build up to this massive, dramatic climax at the base.
Let's see ascending order in action. Imagine a student explaining why they chose a specific college. They list the minor points first, right? Reasonable tuition, a payment plan, fine teachers. But then they drop the standard listing signal for the climax. My chief reason, however, by deliberately saving that absolute most important point for last, in this case, the mandatory work-study program, you build real dramatic tension. The paragraph literally ascends to a climax, keeping the reader completely hooked until the very last sentence.
And finally, Section 5, perfecting your grammar. Look, structure is amazing, but a silly grammatical error will instantly break that spell you've worked so hard to cast over your reader. A super common pitfall is forgetting singular-plural agreement, right there in the topic sentence. The phrase, there are 3 basic kind, sounds almost right, but it's fundamentally flawed. Because the adjective 3 is plural, your enumerator has to be plural too. It has to be kinds with an S. Always, always double-check that your enumerators and your verbs actually agree with the number of items you're promising to list.
So you've got the blueprint now. You know exactly how to pull this off. You have the enumerators to set the stage, the listing signals to guide the way, and the sheer power of ascending and descending order to manipulate the dramatic tension of your writing. You are fully equipped to take a chaotic jumble of thoughts and turn it into a captivating, flawlessly organized paragraph. The only question left is, the next time you sit down to write that high-stakes proposal or vital email, how will you choose to orchestrate your reader's mind?